Hey, fifth grade, today we're going to play a game called WORDO to review what we've learned about lists 1, Greek and Latin roots and affixes. This game is a lot like bingo. To get you started, I'm going to go over the directions on Google Classroom and then I'll show you how to play. So obviously you're doing the first part right because you're watching this video until I tell you to pause. Then you'll select a WORDO card to play with. All 3 of these are different. And then you'll press play on the video, and then you'll click the tab and go back into the WORDO card that you've selected, and you'll play along with the video, and then you'll turn this assignment in when you're all finished. So I'm going to go ahead and select one of these cards and show you how to work with it. So there are 3 different cards. Each one of them has a different combination of the example words on it, and all of the cards have these X's at the top. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to drag one of those X's to the free space. Okay, and what will happen is I will draw a root or affix out of my cup, and I will tell you if it's Greek or Latin. I'll give you the definition of the root, and then you have to look on your WORDO card for words that contain the root that means that. So you have to use your critical thinking, and if you have to pause and think about it, that's fine too. This is just a review game, a fun way to try and kind of see where you're at before we take the post test. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to have you go ahead and pause this video, go get your card, and then you're going to come back to the video, push play, and play along with it. You'll just hear me, and you'll drag your X to cover the word that you want to select on your card. So go ahead and push pause now, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, so I think we're back, and I think we're ready to play. I'll get started. Our first root or affix is Latin, and it means carry. So at this point, you would take your X and you would cover any of the words on your card that have the root that means carry. So you kind of have to think, okay, which root or affix that I'm studying this week means carry? So once you have that, then you go and look for words that have that root in them. All right. And there can be up to 3 of those words on each card. Our next root or affix is Latin, and it has several definitions. It means 2, twice, once in every 2. So go ahead and drag your X to cover any of those words on your card that have the root that means 2, twice, or once in every 2. Our next root or affix is not Greek or Latin, and it means full of. So think about what root has that definition, and then cover those words on your card with the X. And if I'm going too fast, if you need a few more minutes, just push pause on the video, just jump up to that tab, push pause, and then you can come back to it when you're ready. I'm going to move on to the last one that I'm going to call out today. It is Latin, and it means move. So go ahead and mark any of the words on your card that contain the root or affix that is Latin and means move. Now I'm not going to go ahead and call the last one because your whole card would be full if I did that. So I'm going to stop at this time, and I'm going to go over the ones that I've already called and give you the example words and kind of go make sure that you can check your work. But if you've played this game correctly, you should have had at least one or two wordos. And you get a wordo, I probably should have explained this before we jumped right into playing. You can do that with 4 corners, like here. You can do that diagonally, like there. You can do that vertically, as in this example right here. And you can also do that horizontally, as in this example here. And it is possible for you to have multiple wordos on a card, especially if you know those roots and affixes and you were able to pick out and identify the words that contain those roots or affixes. So I'm going to go ahead and click undo. So the only X on my card is the free space. I'm going to go over the ones that I've already called. So one of the roots that I called was Latin, and it meant two, twice, or once in every two. This root or affix is BI or BIN. And so on your card, if you had biannual, binoculars, or bicycle covered when I called this root or affix, that would be correct. And if you didn't get those covered, that's now a root or affix that you should be focusing on and practicing and paying attention to. So you've identified what you know, if you were able to pick it out and get all 3, and you've identified which one that you still have trouble with if you didn't have all 3 marked. Okay, and then another root or affix that I called was Latin, and it meant carry. And that root or affix was PORT or port. And so if you had portable, transport, and export marked on your card, then you're in good shape. And if you didn't, then you've identified what you need to work on, or what root or affix you need to spend a little more time on. And then I called out a root or affix that was not Greek or Latin, and it meant full of. And this was FUL. This was the only suffix on our list this week. And so if you had cheerful, frightful, or painful covered on your card, then you got those correct. And the last one that I called was Latin, and it meant move, and that was MOT, MOV. And so if you had the words motion, remove, or motor covered, then you did well with that root or affix. And again, if you didn't, then you've identified what you need to work on and study. The one that I did not call was Latin, and it means with, together, or joint. And so you should not have had any of these roots or any of these example words on your card marked. If so, then again, we've identified one you need to spend a little more time with. So the root or affix that means with, together, or joint is CO or co. And so the example words on your card would have been cooperate, collide, and coworker. All right, guys, so that is it for Wordo. If you'd like to play again, let's say that first round was a little confusing, you weren't really sure how to play, but now you do, that you've been through it a second time, just go up and choose one of those other cards that you didn't play with. Like I chose this very first one in my work to play with. You can choose the next one and play with it. It's different. You can do it a third time. Do this until you get good at it, or do it just for fun. If you love the game of Wordo, just make sure you turn it in. Hit the turn in button when you're finished so I can see how you did. All right, guys. I'll see you soon.